Hello, and welcome to Jim and Friends Read the News. Hello, and welcome to Jim and Friends Read the News. The Memorial Day edition. Welcome to Jim and Friends Read the News. The Memorial Day edition.
I haven't started the music yet.
Is there an echo?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's my bad.
I was just making sure I wasn't hearing things.
Yeah.
But hello, everybody, and happy Memorial Day. Well, I guess tomorrow's Memorial Day, but it's Memorial Day weekend. We celebrate.
What are your
the whole
plans
weekend.
for Memorial Day, Jim?
A grill out, like everyone. Grilling out. Going to my girlfriend's Annie's house for a little grilling. Oh, I'm gonna help a friend move tomorrow too. He's moving.
Exciting stuff.
Gonna move some boxes and then grill some shish kebabs. Actually, shish kebabs on the grill. Yep.
That sounds very un-American.
Shish kebab.
Our soldiers died killing people or getting killed by people who eat shish kebabs.
That's true. I didn't think of that. Oops. Well, what if they're red, white?
I'm sorry.
What if they're red, white, and blue? Is that
red peppers and
Okay. I'll give you a pass on that one.
All right.
Dyed blue chicken.
I'll just play American. What's American music? The Star Spangled Banner. We'll start with that and a little salute and.
Oh, that sounds good.
Proudly. I forget. I know the words to the Spangled Banner, but only when I start from the beginning, and I can go through. It's hard to pick up in the middle. But with that, speaking of America, the NFL and the Packers, as I always like to start with the Packers news. They're still, they were in their training camp and stuff, so let's go Packers. And then I'm going to go off a little bit. This isn't the Packers, but the NFL itself. The National Football League has led the way among sports lobby groups with more than $1.6 million spent in 2011 on internal lobbyists and 4 outside lobby shops. According to First Street Research. Oh, I also want to say all this news reports with our news, which I like to put in quotations. Please do your own research on this in case I don't want to say that I'm a leading authority on news. So.
And all of our news is stolen from somewhere.
Right, stolen or made up.
So yeah.
I was thinking of throwing in a fake news article one of these
that's
times.
a good idea.
Just be careful that I might get you with a trick.
As by your folks.
Yeah, you don't know when it's gonna be. You don't know when it's gonna be. But so anyway, the NFL is lobbying for few things like their player safety, drug testing, broadcasting, and internet gambling. But the interesting one. Concentrated on the Federal Aviation Administration to reauthorize the use of drones in U.S. airspace. So there could be unmanned aircraft flying over football games. At this point, though, I'm wondering, really, what's the difference between a drone and a radio-controlled, helicopter? Really, what is the difference there? I don't know.
I think the word drone has come to mean an unmanned flying vehicle.
Would it be a robot?
But I actually had if you look through the archives, I have an interview with Medea Benjamin, and she's all about drones. She talks about drones and the coming drone wars and so on. And I asked her that very question. I said, what constitutes a drone? And she said that drones can be anything from the size of an insect to the size of like a jumbo jet. And they can do anything from fly around and take pictures to, killing people, to anything, basically anything that you can do from an unmanned flying vehicle. So drones it's a very abstract term.
Right. Does the drone have to be able to fly on its own, or does it have to have a controller? Is there a controller versus a computer system?
Right. This is this is the thing is she said not only is it, guys playing basically like video game
Right.
controllers sitting in an office somewhere running a drone in Pakistan
Right.
or maybe one in Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Police Department or something like that. But it can also be some drones, they say, will be computerized where it's not even a person controlling
Yeah.
the drone itself.
I imagine it won't be that hard when something's in the air to have
Yeah.
some kind of algorithm to keep it
Yeah, and maybe it's able
in
to
a flight pattern.
right,
You know?
and maybe it's able to detect other things and able
Right.
to sort of navigate itself through the airspace or whatever.
Right.
But also, she talked about how drones are not all going to be used for evil.
No.
But there's a lot of potential evil associated with drones that they can be used for things like sports events or for anthropological reasons or what do you call it? Like studying the rainforest,
Right.
things like that. So,
Or I would think the drone over like national forest to watch for forest fires would be a practical application for that.
yeah,
So, I mean,
so
so you
there's
could
so
spot
many different
that.
applications for it, and it's crazy to think that they might be the size of like insects,
Right.
mosquitoes, or whatever.
Well,
so yeah, it's
it
just
makes me think of those white blood cells that they were talking about making to put in you that would search out in yourself
For cancer or
Yeah.
something?
I mean, that's kind
Yeah.
of like a internal drone in
Yeah.
a way, really.
yeah. There's a drone flying over Gabe's head right now.
Yeah, I saw that. Attack of the drones already.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
we have
man.
we have a kind of a drone problem here in the
become
store.
Yeah, it was Attack of the Drones, not
become the
Attack of the
problem
Clones,
eventually,
so
though.
George Lucas can't sue us. But,
Couldn't the drones though, if they were to help, eventually become the problem?
well, Terminator, Skynet, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
The drones decided to do
revolt.
their own thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, AI, where does that go? Anyway. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. They $1.6 million they spent on lobbyists alone, which I'd never really thought of sports being a group that really needed lobbyists,
Yeah.
I guess. But they have potential lawsuits coming from old players because of concussion problems and head injuries.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably getting prepared for lawsuit type stuff to protect themselves.
Yeah, and then I mean it's a huge industry, right?
Right,
So
so-
any huge industry is gonna have all kinds of reasons why they want to lobby politicians.
Makes sense to me. Well, I mean, I guess it's the way it is. I wouldn't necessarily say it makes sense that lobbyists even exist, really, to begin with.
Yeah. Well,
I would say private lobby groups. I mean, every company would have its own obvious say in something, in a matter.
yeah.
But to
how do you
but to
define
hire groups-
a lobbyist though? Is that just a person who
I've
stands
looked it-
around and
I've looked it up before. It's people who are hired to go in front of Congress they get on the floor and make their case to politicians on the floor of Congress.
But does it necessarily have to be in front of Congress, or could it be in front of anything?
Well, actually, that's where people talk about it's the lobbying that you see behind the floor lobbying, where they're just going to these politicians more in like meetings and dinners.
Yeah.
And you can do as long as there's certain contribution things that these lobbyists can use, and I forget all those laws, but as a lobbyist you just plead your case pretty much to politicians to try and get your way on upcoming laws, or to get them to introduce laws in the beginning, just to come up with one.
But okay, maybe you answered this question, but how can you, Jim Van Vonderen, go into
And lobby? Can I go lobby?
can you go in the lobby and then get the ear of the politicians, or how does that work?
There are some rules to it, and again, I don't have those in front of me. If someone has an internet, maybe. But from what I was reading, it sounded like someone could do that now, but there were kind of like rules and obviously different kinds of procedural things that'll help you get your foot into the door, whereas you just Joe Public wouldn't have necessarily the ability to get the same meeting maybe with a politician.
Maybe it's a little bit like the way reporters get.
Right, kind of like
little
a press pass. You get a
Yeah.
lobby pass,
Or- yeah,
lobbyist
right.
pass
Mhm.
type of thing. Oh, there you go. Lobbying Disclosure Act Guidance. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, it's a lot of sections here. Section 6 of Lobby Disclosure provides that the security of the Senate and the clerk of the House of Representatives shall provide guidance and assistance on the registration reporting requirements of... Okay, that goes all through.
It's
Blah, blah, blah. It's, yeah, of course, like all
lengthy.
thing is pretty long. You can look up the laws.
It'd be nice if something had the gist of it.
Lobbyingdisclosure.house.gov. Lobbyingdisclosure.house.gov
Yeah, there's,
has quite. It is huge. It
goes on for a while.
It's a good 50 pager as all government stuff. It goes quite in detail on how to be a lobbyist. But anyway, the NFL lobbying for drones, which makes sense for them. I mean, so that they can cover their sporting events, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't surprise me. But that was
it's
a nice
still
segue
weird.
into
It's still weird
lobbyists.
to think about.
Right. Just the whole idea of it, I think, is a little weird. But
All right, well, I have an interesting story over here. This is a story from Europe. They have, they believe in psychic animals out there. So this is a story on a psychic pig to make tips for, like, basically soccer games. So a psychic pig is set to take over where Paul the Octopus left off at the 2010 World Cup, predicting the results of matches at the European Championships in Ukraine and Poland. Kiev city government said on Friday it would wheel out the Porky tipster to give daily forecasts once the tournaments kick off next month. A unique oracle hog, a real Ukrainian pig, and a psychic which knows the mysteries of football, which is soccer in Europe. A statement said every day at 4 o'clock it will predict the result of the upcoming match.
I call that un-American football.
Yeah,
With Memorial Day. All right.
very, very European. And other Latin American countries too. Paul, who has since passed away, shot to fame in 2010 at the World Cup after his feeding behavior was used to correctly predict the winner of each of Germany's 7 matches. So Paul was the octopus, I believe. So, yeah. And he is dead now. So now they're relying on the pig. And there's also several other animals, which I'm going to get to. He also tipped World Cup winners Spain to beat the Netherlands in the final in South Africa. Kiev officials say they wanted to bring similar excitement to the Ukrainians by bringing the telepathic pig to the city's fan zone before matches. Psychic creatures have become the rage since Paul blazed his tentacled trail. A rare two-headed tortoise named Magdalena embarked on a new career as a tipster at last year's Ice Hockey World Championship in Slovakia. Germany discovered a cross-eyed opossum called Heidi, who made an appearance on American television earlier this year to predict the Oscar winners. She died last September. The hog will be eager to sniff out the correct result himself to avoid the chop, as pork is a simple staple of local cuisine in Germany. So, yeah, that's a pretty interesting article. Psychic animals, what's next?
They could start lobbying. That's what does. Psychic animals. could
Psychic
start,
lobbyists.
Yeah, psychic
Animals.
animal lobbyists.
Animals-
Get a meeting with that psychic pig. That might be harder. That might be harder to come by than one of these politicians, maybe.
Yeah.
But in a certain way, aren't animals? How do we know if animals are psychic? I guess they could. I mean, in a way, maybe there are animals who are psychic.
Maybe all
They
animals
can't
are
talk.
psychic.
How would they?
Right.
But isn't it true that in some ways, like animals know when there's going to be an earthquake before people?
Yeah, they always say before earthquakes or big natural disasters, there'll be a large animal
Disappearance?
migration. They migrate away from it.
Yeah, or like lots of cats and dogs go missing.
Yeah, that's what they say. Again, I'm not sure on the scientific research on that,
something-
but it seems about right, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a real thing.
Yeah, there was a dog on the internet the other day that supposedly had perfect pitch.
Oh, yeah.
The master would play a note. You saw that.
Yeah, that was really good.
And then the dog would come over and play on the piano. It wasn't even looking. So, my wife and I questioned whether that was kind of like a trained thing or if the dog was actually hearing the note. So,
Well, wouldn't you have to train the dog to know what to press to find the pitch, though?
yeah, but we were questioning whether someone was actually guiding the dog somehow.
Oh, off camera.
Off
yeah,
camera.
You're right.
yeah.
It would have been easy.
So,
Yeah.
But
That's very
who
true.
knows? Maybe the dog was hearing the note. That'd be pretty incredible, and I don't think it'd be too surprising. Dogs and cats
They got the
are
hearing.
supposed to have, way better hearing than we have. So,
Yep.
Well, speaking of dogs with perfect pitch and psychic animals, there's a cat. There's so much. When you get into weird news, there's a lot of animals. There's a cat
They're the mysterious, those mysterious animals. They can't quite communicate.
Yeah, maybe it's just like it's if you're gonna have any kind of pet news, it's probably gonna be just go into that category
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much.
true.
No matter how serious it is. I can't think of a serious news story involving a pet. Maybe there's probably one or two. Like that one where the chimpanzee ripped the lady's face off. That's
Yeah,
but still that kind of falls into weird news.
Yeah. Well, it was a pet chimpanzee. Yeah, pet chimpanzee.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a horrible story.
Right. All right.
Anyway, and there's plenty of horrible stories involving animals too. Well, this cat is running for office in Russia, and it's I'm not sure how it got to run for office, but there is a cat that's running for office in Russia.
Really? Mm-hmm. There was a brawl either today or the other day in the Ukraine in the parliament. A big brawl. Like they were actually fighting in the Ukrainian
I've
parliament
seen that before.
for this time it was over making Russian the national language. They got into fisticuffs over that.
Yeah.
They did not want to make Russian the national language. Or at least some people didn't. Enough to start throwing some haymakers in there.
Yeah. Anyway, I have the feeling that it looks like this cat has a spokesperson named Ivan Kolotivkin, and and he's neither left nor right. He will never be affiliated with any party.
Oh, well, I like his platform.
Yeah.
I'm liking this cat already.
Do you guys remember that guy who was running for president, and he has a boot on his head? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Had a boot. No.
yeah, Buddhas, yeah.
And he's I'll have to find that story for I'll find it in a little while.
Okay.
But he's a really interesting presidential candidate because he actually tells it like it is. It's pretty good.
With a boot on his head.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, with overseas news, I got a story here in France. I guess it was 2004 when this kind of broke in France. But there's a group there called the UX. They call themselves, and what they had done is they're kind of underground, not a terrorist group, but anyway, what they did was they broke into the city hall, found the maps to all these underground tunnels in France, copied the map, put the map back, and then have been running underground workshops and things like film festivals and everything underground. But they actually then broke into their museum, the Pantheon there, and there was a clock that's been broken for like over 100 years, and I forget the clock's name. I'm just doing it off this, but anyway, so the broken clock for the last 100 years, national monument. They broke into the Pantheon Museum, set up a workshop underground under like the Pantheon,
Yeah.
and were breaking into the museum routinely
Yeah.
and fixing the clock. And they fixed they end up eventually fixing the clock and then alerting the authorities that, hey, we fixed your clock for you.
Yeah.
And they found out, of course, were outraged, fire the head of security of the Pantheon, and then re-broke the clock. and took a huge key component out and put it away like under lock and key so that no one could ever fix the clock again.
Wow. And what was the reason? Why were they so protective of keeping it broken?
That there is none. The person who wrote the article that I found it on goes with last sentence here or whatever. One big question is why a sophisticated band with enough expertise to rob a bank or steal state secrets has decided to focus their efforts on doing clock restorations and film festivals behind people's backs. But maybe the bigger question is whether someone could really be so cartoonishly villainous as to re-break a beautifully restored historical landmark out of spite.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have an interesting article here from London. This was from my birthday here this year. It's an article about Bigfoot. So, European researchers say new techniques to analyze DNA could help crack the mystery of whether Bigfoot exists. In a project announced this week, Oxford University and Lausanne Museum of Zoology, scientists appealed to museums, scientists, and Yeti aficionados to share samples thought to be from the mythical ape-like creature. Researchers plan to focus on hair to determine the species it originated from. Brian Sykes of Oxford University said the group had already received samples to test, including blood, hair, and items supposedly chewed by Bigfoot. He said evidence already exists of interbreeding between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, which could have played a role in Yeti's origins. Sykes acknowledged that the chances of providing a new Yeti species existence was low, but if we don't look, we'll never find out. And here's a picture of Yeti. And
look at that.
It is always out of focus. No matter when I see a picture of Bigfoot, it's just like this blurry. It could be a guy wearing black sweatpants just crossing the street, just extremely out of focus, like a guy who's like 6'5" or something. Who knows?
That is viciously.
This could be a fat Russian guy. You never know.
That is suspiciously blurry. I've seen the pictures of Bigfoot and Yeti, and this one is even like worsely out of focus than normal.
That show Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good show. I missed that one.
Harry and the Hendersons. Makes me think of Elf too. Whatever happened to Elf? Speaking of cats.
Oh, you talking about the movie Elf?
No, Elf. I'm sorry, Elf with an A.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
He was
kill me.
always trying to eat.
That was a terrible era of television. That was this horrible television.
Always tried to eat the cat.
Horrible, but yet so great.
Yeah.
There's a movie.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a movie, Permanent Midnight, that's supposed to be about the guy who created Elf.
Oh, really?
Ben Stiller's in it. It's more of a serious movie.
Yeah. I've seen parts of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about the guy who created Elf.
Yeah, Maker Family Guys just made a movie with a teddy bear, a guy who has this teddy bear he wishes it comes to life.
Oh yeah,
and then they grow up and the bear's smoking pot and all kinds of stuff.
I heard about that. That actually sounds pretty funny.
Yeah, we should go see that.
Well, I guess it turns out it's kind of a big story. Probably people have been seeing this one in the news. Is that the Unabomber? He's on the 50th reunion for Harvard's undergraduate class of 1962, and I guess he updated his status on the alumni book.
What was his status updated to? Does it say?
It said that his occupation is prisoner.
Okay.
And under awards, he notes 8 life sentences issued by the United States District Court.
Well, I guess that is one. That is kind of an accomplishment.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely. He accomplished something.
It's an infamous accomplishment, but an accomplishment nonetheless. People were upset about that, huh? But I mean, he wasn't alumni, so isn't he entitled to update his status?
Oh, well, also it says he listed his collection of anti-technological rants, Technological Slavery, the collected writings of Theodore Kaczynski, aka the Unabomber, was one of his published works that he listed as well. But I don't know. I guess, I mean, it is true. If I think like, okay, if someone I loved was killed by the Unabomber, I guess it would be kind of upsetting, you know,
Right.
to see him listed or whatever. But I mean, it is. I don't completely know why things like this become such,
Well, it's
you know, such. I mean, it is sensitive. I guess it's sensitive.
it's sensitive.
I
It's
can't
kind
really
of just,
talk unless
it's
I'm-
also reporting, but I guess yeah. But yeah.
I mean, why someone like that wouldn't be listed as one of the people who was in that class?
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I mean?
I mean, he's probably more famous than 99% of that class as far as
Right.
notoriety
I
goes.
mean, it
even
seems
if
so
it
much
is
better-
infamously.
It's better to have that than pretend, pretend white
he
him
was
out
never
or
there.
something.
Yeah,
like,
pretend he
kinda
was
make-
never there.
Yeah, it seems better, I think,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But
Yeah.
again, it's like I see,
suppose.
when things are that big of a deal, who knows what kinds of people get upset by it all.
That's true. Well, people do get upset.
And I mean, he probably did affect a lot of people's lives in a horrible way. Well, but also, the Canadian Prime Minister has a nude painting that's going on display. The oil canvas entitled Emperor Haute Couture was created by an artist, Margaret Sutherland, and can be viewed at the Ontario Public Library.
At the public library?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well,
It shows the politician with a dog at his feet surrounded by headless people in suits.
headless people and really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little weird. But
But at the same, I'm trying to figure out if he actually posed for it. I'm getting the feeling he didn't really.
but they still put it in the public library.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, strangest thing about that whole story to me is that it would be in the public library. Of all places to display that.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show that people are pretty open-minded up there, I guess.
There, hey. Speaking of people getting upset and stuff, there was a deceptive chimp who hides ammo and blasts unsuspecting zoo visitors. The
yeah.
chimpanzee known as Santino is the dominant male of his group at the Furuvit Zoo in Sweden, and he apparently hides things around the zoo, and then I guess the tours used to come through and they wouldn't take the tourists through when he was getting ready to throw stuff at people, of course. So he learned to hide his ammunition.
Oh.
And then when the groups come through, he'll go mosey on over to where he's got his things, grab it and start throwing it at people. There was the
See, when you said ammunition, I thought you
thinking
meant bullets.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Like,
oh no
knew
no.
how to shoot a gun.
No, yeah,
That'd be crazy.
Well, that's that's next step, I guess.
apes with guns.
Yeah, watch out.
Planet of the
Planet
Apes.
of the
Yeah.
Apes. Where was So also he also does things like he to make like he was just wandering about. Santino picks up an apple from a water moat just 15 seconds away before hurling at stone visitors. I guess he also would he'd pick up the apple and grab it and start walking towards him and take a bite out of the apple. Like doop-a-doop-a-doo, I'm just eating my apple, so he could get nice and close, and then throws it at people.
Wow.
So he's not only hiding things, he's also acting.
It's like Caesar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So watch out for those chimpanzees. Well, we already talked about the pet chimpanzee with we all know the face ripping off.
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah.
Well, here's another story kind of dealing with animals and a drunk driving incident in Dubuque, Iowa. So, an Iowa man stopped outside a Dubuque bar with a small zebra and parrot in his truck has been charged with drunken driving. KCRG-TV reports officers arrested 56-year-old Jared Rither of Cascade on Sunday in a parking lot of the Doghouse Bar where people had been taking photos of the animals. Rither says the zebra and macaw parrot are pets and like riding in the truck. Rither claims he sometimes takes animals into the bar, but the owner says they're not allowed inside. Officers gave Rither a field of sobriety test and charged him with drunken driving. Rither disputes the arrest. He says he was about to let a person begin driving. He says he thinks someone who came to see the animals called the police. So, yeah. Bizarre story there.
Yeah. In Dubuque, Iowa. Watch out while driving in Iowa.
Where would someone in Iowa get a zebra? That's what I'm wondering.
No.
Like, aren't they kind of illegal to have unless you're a zoo?
Yeah, maybe does he have a petting zoo or something? Because I think you can have like zebra in a petting zoo.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's probably no illegal. Is there illegal animals?
Yeah, there
think,
are
tigers.
There are certain.
Yeah, I suppose that makes
Mike
sense.
Tyson has a tiger, though.
No,
Or is that a myth?
I believe it. But maybe he has
I
like
would
a.
think he does.
Maybe the tiger is like constantly with a trainer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably have all kinds of. He can afford to have all of the proper stuff.
I think there is like
associated.
a classification of pet though, as far as what kind of animals you can keep or
Can't
not.
have endangered pets.
Yeah, you can endangered, and then there's certain ones that I don't think they let you have, but I don't know the law on that one.
Yeah.
I do know about the piggyback bandits. That's keeping on the animals here. Now this is a guy, and this guy's superpower is named Sherwin Shayagan. He's a 28-year-old man who has repeatedly shown up to high school sports games in multiple U.S. states for the sole purpose of getting piggyback rides from the players. So he'll show up and stand outside like their locker rooms or pose as reporter or whatever and talk to the winning team and then convince them to give him a piggyback ride. And sometimes I guess he'll just hop on. But the thing about it is this guy is he has a 240-pound frame.
Oh wow.
So I'm thinking like the only people that he can find to give him piggyback rides are like athletes. So he's decided to find his mark at high school sporting events to get his piggyback ride fix. So be wary of a big 240-pound guy at the high schools looking for a piggyback ride. Apparently, he's been kicked out of 5 states. He has been banned from attending sporting events in 5 states.
Wow.
How do you ban? I mean, how do they have to keep an eye out for him all the time?
I guess he does have also been arrested for assault charges, and always makes bail, and different things. But yeah, I guess somehow they've been able to ban him from some certain state high school sporting events. But for the piggyback bandit, I don't know how that all turns out, but he's just hopping on backs. I think he just wants a piggyback ride, guys.
Speaking of overweight people, or not overweight, but big people, I have some obituary types of news. Or
Nope.
One man who won a dumpling eating contest died immediately after winning in
what?
Ukraine. Dumplings.
Dumpling? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Ukraine dumpling eating contest to find the person who could eat 10 of the dumplings most quickly went horribly wrong when the 77-year-old champion keeled over and died.
What did he choke? Heart attack?
Oh, I could read on here and tell
He
you
was
more.
77 years old and he's eating a lot
The
of
winner,
dumplings.
Ivan Mendel, had just won his prize a 1-liter jar of sour cream when he began to feel
That's what
ill.
That's what he was doing it for. 1 liter of sour cream.
He got sick, fell to the ground,
Good sour cream.
and the ambulance arrived, and he was already dead.
Wow.
He probably choked on his vomit.
Oh.
Ugh.
Like the Spinal Tap drummer.
It's horrifying. Oh, well, yeah. Speaking of which,
Not to make
kind of
a guy
related, but
dying,
no, kind of related. A man who named himself Led Zeppelin II died recently. Yeah, he was known as George Blackburn for most of his life, but after his divorce, last fall, he wanted to start life over, so he changed his name to Led Zeppelin II.
That's a good album.
Yeah, I mean,
His daughter says that he watched the iconic British rock band play about 20 times in the 60s and 70s, and talked about it changing his name to Led Zeppelin II for years before the divorce.
wow.
Died of a heart attack at the age of 64.
Wow, that's pretty young.
Yeah, that is pretty young. And that might be because he cheated on his wife.
No,
Because
of the dumpling eating?
No, because somewhere among all these news stories, I found one that said that if men who cheat are more likely to die of a heart attack.
Huh.
Another man died after sitting in a chair for 2 years. Morbidly obese Ohio man died Wednesday after being found unconscious in his home after several days. He had been sitting in a chair for 2 years and was physically fused to it
Oh, physically fused to the chair?
when he was
Oh,
discovered by two
Oh my
roommates.
god.
How's that happen? His skin
Well,
starts to
just
grow
like
around
starts
the chair?
grafting into it?
Oh, man.
Oh god.
But how did he go to the bathroom?
Oh.
Maybe
don't
there was
know.
a hole at the bottom of the chair or something.
Maybe
Or-
he's
Or-
That could have been
But then-
pretty nasty.
Like, yeah. Oh god.
Maybe
I
that's
can't
what
think
grafted him to the chair.
Oh jeez.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't even want to read more about it.
Wow.
It gets really gnarly.
In other news,
Yeah.
And he's 43 years old.
I got
Only
I got
43.
another.
Well, I have one more. Oh wait, we have a call.
Oh, we got a call.
Yeah.
Ooh, caller.
Hello.
Hi. I just couldn't stand hearing you guys talk about dead guys used to chairs anymore. I was getting grossed out, so I thought I should call in with some, I guess, less disgusting news.
please take us off the
Change the subject for us,
subject for us, Becky.
Yes. Well, I have some news here about a Mississippi couple who ended up rehabbing the wrong foreclosed house that they bought. Yeah, it's kind of right up our alley because Gabe and I are in the process of buying a house. So
And rehabbing it.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and rehabbing it. So
You sure you have the right address?
Yeah. You might
I
want to
hope
double
so.
check that.
I think we got the
I
right.
hope so. Yeah, this makes me think twice about this. But there's this couple in Mississippi that thought they had found the perfect fixer-upper, complete with like a nice dining room and a barn. And then they got to work and started fixing it up in thousands of dollars. And they wanted to flip it for a profit. But then they got this call from the bank that said, I hate to tell you this, but we might have sold you the wrong house.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
and
it's really the
like-
bank's fault.
Right.
Yeah, it would be the bank's fault. But they bought this foreclosed house for like $11,000, which to me sounds like a little too good to be true.
Right.
But the property they were actually supposed to be buying was the one like right next door. That was this like junk heap that was about ready to fall down and really
It was like
just got bulldozed over.
$11,000 house.
Yeah, exactly. Think about what an $11,000 house would look like, and that's probably it. So, yeah, the couple's in the process of suing the bank right now to get their money back for the house and for all the work that they did.
Right. I hope they win. I hope to see the bank get over on them like that. That'd be no
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That reminds me of.
It seems like every time we do news stories, we somehow housing comes in. We often talk about housing.
We have a lot of real estate news.
There's a lot of weird news involving housing.
It's the bizarre news coming through, you know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the thing of we live in, it's our times. I don't think I've ever talked more about mortgages and housing than I have since 2008. It seems like it's just been, or even before that, when the housing boom was happening, it was always in the news too.
Yeah, actually, I heard this other news story related to housing today. I was at a cookout this afternoon, and I was telling some people about this story. And another one of the guys there was telling about a story that he'd recently heard about a couple who had been like making regular monthly mortgage payments on their house. And the bank was like getting on their case and saying, "You're not making your payments," and they were harassing them. And the bank finally sued this couple wrongfully because the couple had been making their monthly payments. And so they went to court, and of course the judge ruled in favor of this couple and said, "No, bank, you were in the wrong, and now you have to pay this couple's legal fees and all this." So it was about $10,000 legal fees or something. And so then the bank wasn't paying the couple back, so the couple went back to the judge, and the judge then kind of foreclosed on the bank, and the couple got to go in and basically like raid the bank
Oh, nice.
to get their $10,000 back. Yeah.
Foreclose the bank.
Yep, they foreclosed on the bank.
That is nice.
I know.
That happened to someone you know?
No. I was at a cookout today, and when I was telling them about my original foreclosure story, one of the guys there had mentioned this story to me. I thought it was a nice tie-in.
Yeah, I heard about a guy, I think it might have been in Michigan, who figured something out where he managed to get into a house that was in foreclosure, and he didn't break in. Somehow I think maybe he found the key under the mat or something like that. Walked into the house without breaking in and began living in it, and he lived in it long enough that he owned it. According to he knew this weird loophole in the law, and he finally owned it.
Like squatter's law, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a squatter's rights thing, but it was different. I mean, it wasn't squatter's rights. It was something he knew all this, how to do it, and everyone in the neighborhood just like outraged because, of course, they paid really good money for their houses.
Yeah.
And this guy got it for free. And also, he's African American in some suburban-y place, with white suburban place, and so they're outraged about that as well. But I kind of tried to study about it. I was like, wow, what did he do? What did he figure out? Because that's pretty
How
cool.
can I take advantage of
I know. I really want to find out. But he did a lot of
Good
research.
idea. Something worth looking into.
Yeah, if you find out, let me and Gabe know. So. To help in our house hunt.
Well, what are you going to do with two houses, though? You already have one.
Well,
No.
Almost. We
Almost.
Well,
Almost. Okay. But, speaking of cheap houses, I have a friend, and he showed me two houses here in River West that are like in around $23,000 a piece.
wow.
Yeah, and they're nice looking houses.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a deal.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've looked at them. They look good.
Wow.
So there are incredible deals out there.
That squatter's law does make me think of actually something in my life. What was this? This was maybe 10 years ago. My mom's boyfriend at the time had a house in Puerto Rico that he had bought, and he ended up moving in with my mom at the time. He was gonna move to Puerto Rico. Met my mom, blah blah blah. Ended up staying here, but had his house in Puerto Rico. They went to take a vacation, and he was going to check on his house. Went to his house, someone was living in it.
Oh.
The lady who had
Whoa.
sold him the house knew that he was just living in the States and wasn't expecting to ever move back,
Yeah.
and sold the house on him. Again,
Yeah.
so she double sold the house. And he had to go through all this Puerto Rican real estate law, which apparently is very...
complicated.
Complicated. They don't have very good records. They can never find anything. But long and short of that was he had to move back to live in his house to keep it. Otherwise he wasn't going to be able to keep it. So it got worked out where he had to move back. He had to move to Puerto Rico, stay in the house to keep his house that was sold on him while he wasn't there.
That's
guess
pretty
there's
wild.
worse places to have to live than Puerto Rico. You
Yeah.
know, tropical, sunshine, gorgeous weather.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
rough.
right. My aunt in Paris actually, well, they have squatters' rights laws in France that are pretty intense. And my aunt's, I think it was my aunt's husband, so my uncle, but not by blood. His family owned the apartment they lived in, but they also owned like the apartment on the 6th floor of this apartment building. And somehow a squatter got in. Like, I think actually somehow someone rented that apartment from them.
Okay.
And then he stopped paying rent.
All right.
And then they didn't move quickly enough on him. And he didn't move out, and somehow he got squatters' rights, and they can't get him out of the house.
Now he's
Like, he lives in the apartment.
Yeah, so now it's
permanently.
just him.
He just lives
And
there.
he doesn't have to pay.
No, he doesn't pay rent.
He just
He just lives in this apartment.
wow.
It's yeah, it's kind of amazing. But it's just this thing where, like, if you own a property and you're not using it, then you can't. I don't know. It's
Yeah, there's
I don't
some-
quite
there's
understand
some
how it
really
works.
weird real estate law out there.
Yeah, it's a totally different. That would never happen in America.
Probably not.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, be careful, you guys.
Yeah. Watch for people moving into your house, and if they do, I guess you gotta kick them out right away. Don't let them stay there, or they're gonna end up with your house.
Well, Becky, do you have any other unusual news stories for us tonight?
No, that was the only one today. I was too busy hanging out at a cookout this afternoon.
And did you have shish kebabs?
No, we didn't. We had hot dogs grilled over the
Oh.
fire. Good old American hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. A true-blooded American.
Yeah. Can't get much
And
more.
now I think I'm going to get back to making my fruit salad for the cookout tomorrow.
Oh man, the
Sounds
weekend of
good.
cookouts.
I know. It's the weekend for cookouts, you know. What's more American?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Burning
Someone
things
told me it
over
always
fire.
rains on Memorial Day. Is that true?
No,
Ah,
it didn't last year.
Okay. This
Seem-
guy's-
I have no idea.
myth. Thank you for busting that myth.
Oh.
All right. Well, enjoy making your fruit salad and have a good Memorial Day picnic tomorrow.
Thank you. You guys have a great Memorial Day as well.
All right. Thank you
Right.
for calling in.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for calling.
No problem.
Bye.
All right. I have an interesting story over here. Man faces prison for attacking boy with hedgehog. 27-year-old man faces a possible 5 years in prison after attacking a 15-year-old boy with a hedgehog. The man threw the animal from around 15 feet away and hit the youngster in the leg. Boy suffered a large red welt and puncture marks. When police arrived, the animal was dead. It's not clear yet where the man's actions resulted in the death of the hedgehog.
Oh man. Hedgehog attack. Oh, that makes me think there was a really weird one that happened today in Miami. A naked man was shot by Miami police for eating a man's face.
Ah.
Yeah. Apparently there was some dispute. The naked man attacked and was eating the victim's face, and the police intervened and had to shoot him.
So he was biting the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you
eating
eat
sounds like you're having a meal.
I don't know how you eat a face, but
Yeah.
you have to ask
It's like Mike
Hannibal
Tyson,
Lecter.
kind of like when Mike Tyson bit
Right.
that person's ear.
A real meal Holyfield.
Yeah, ask Hannibal Lecter how you eat a face.
Yeah,
But,
that's pretty scary.
Yeah, that just was today.
Well, you know, one of the people that I wanted to interview and hasn't gotten back to me is this woman. I don't have her name off the top of my head. Moira something, I forget her last name. She's been walking around New York City without a shirt ever since it got warm out.
Yeah.
For like maybe the last 2 weeks or so, because according to New York state law, women have the equal right to not wear a shirt as men. So anywhere that men walk around shirtless or topless, or playing basketball or whatever,
Right.
women also have that right. And so she's just asserting her right
Well, right.
to walk around
Without shirt on.
shirtless.
Well.
And so I actually came across that story because there was this other woman in a different state who walked into a grocery store completely naked without
No,
like top to bottom. She had tennis shoes on, I
The
think.
birthday suit.
Yeah, in her birthday suit. And she just went shopping and then got arrested for shopping. But the mistake she made was that she had her bottoms off because you
Well,
technically, and also I don't know, walking in a store might
I
make a
don't.
difference.
Yeah, I don't know if guys can be.
You know, there's that
shirtless in
whole
a store.
no shoes,
There's-
no shirt, no service.
Yeah, there's health concerns there. Even guys
Right.
can't be shirtless.
Yeah, well, or
and-
even no adult can be totally naked in a store. I don't
no.
think. But she was also doing it for political reasons. She was basically saying like, you know, it's my right to, or she was basically saying the reason that I walked in the store naked was because I don't see why you shouldn't be able to walk around naked. We're just naked people under our clothes. And
That's true.
but that led to this other story with this woman Moira, and I was more impressed by the second story
Right.
because she was actually doing something pretty smart, which is breaking this, you know, basically taking the law and breaking this taboo legally,
Yep.
and forcing people to have to like confront why this thing
Yeah.
is taboo.
Right. Why?
And you know, in certain cultures, it wouldn't be.
No.
You know, certain countries in the world, you know, women are topless all the time. It doesn't mean anything. It's not. It's completely normal. So anyway, I thought it would have been fun to talk to her about what she's doing, but she never got back to me. So, yeah. But I'm gonna keep trying
Yeah,
to
hopefully.
interview some of the odd news people
yeah,
of
that,
the
we
week.
gotta work some more interviews in. That was
yeah,
good.
yeah,
That would be good.
yeah.
We need more of the people in the news.
Right, and actual interviews are always better than secondhand, third-hand information. The way usually
That's
it
right.
comes to you.
Yeah, what if I misinterpreted the news and didn't know it, and then told you something that was not completely correct? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's debatable in general. That, you know, is anything ever really true?
That's yep. Oh, I got in the mail. This isn't really necessarily news. I was kind of surprised though. I got in the mail an envelope and mail from Governor Walker asking me to give him money.
Uh-huh.
And I was just thinking, I've never had a governor. Well, no, I take that back. Maybe there has been a politician, but someone well actively in office mailing me and asking me to support their campaign.
Was this a handwritten letter?
Well, yeah. Handwritten. But no, but yeah, you had the whole letter in there, the prepaid postage and recommendations for how much money I should send them if I so choose.
Did you
And,
send them anything?
well, no, I should send them something back in that envelope.
That's a good
though.
idea.
Yeah, what should I send him? I don't know. I feel like I should send him
You
something.
should send him something, but not anything that's going to get you
Yeah, I
in
don't wanna
trouble
get
with
in
the
trouble.
FBI.
Yeah,
Why?
I'll get in trouble, but
Just, I'll have to think about that, but I'll send him something.
Yeah, maybe you can send him a bill that you owe
Yeah, there we go. Like,
as a result of his
right?
governorship.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, actually, can you send me $50 for
Right.
this
I think
for this student loan thing or yeah.
you owe my friend some money, actually, and as soon as
All
you
the
pay him,
teachers.
as soon as you pay him back,
send him a bill.
then maybe I'll get back to you.
Hungary, speaking of cruel politics, Hungary is banning homelessness. As of
I've heard
December
the story.
Oh.
1st. Oh, as of December 1st of last year, actually. This is
Okay.
old news. It will be illegal to be homeless in the European country of Hungary as a new law
So
prohibiting it comes into effect. Those who are found to be in breach of this law will initially be given a warning
okay,
for sleeping on the streets.
don't be homeless.
And then they may also
Alright.
face a fine of up to $600
Well, that
Well,
makes sense.
You know the thing about it, now that I'm reading this, it's like, well, that's kind of true everywhere. If you're caught sleeping in a park or whatever, you're gonna be
you're gonna be fine.
you're gonna be. I mean, it depends, but
You
I'm
can't
sure
be
there's
fined.
a law that says you can't sleep in
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere in the country. I don't think there's anywhere you can actually sleep without paying rent in,
Yeah.
in America. I mean, there might be.
There's shelters.
Well, yeah, but you're in a sense that's kind of paying rent or something. You know, you're an
right.
invited guest.
Yeah, okay, right.
But I'm saying as an uninvited guest,
They say
there's no property where there's no place in America that's not defined by a property line. Oh,
Oh,
that
5-minute
buzz.
mark.
well, we got our buzzer.
Yes, our buzzer means that it's time to wrap it up.
Oh,
All
man.
right. So
Well, let's wrap up. But so what is a homeless person to do? I don't know.
I think just break the law.
I guess
Go
that's all.
to-
you
I mean,
can
you're
do.
homeless,
Go to a
right?
different
Yeah,
What are you
not
gonna
much.
do? How are you gonna pay the? You gonna pay the fine?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I
make
know.
any
To
sense.
fine that doesn't make any sense. But to fine
Yeah.
somebody, I mean,
Yeah. In fact,
What is that?
In
Yeah.
fact, I'm pretty sure that I even talked to
That's where my
the
grandpa's
police
from.
chief about this, or the police chief came and talked to the Occupy camp
Mm-hmm.
when I was involved with the whole Occupy Milwaukee, and he said that because we had so many homeless people involved in the Occupy, he said that they have tons of homeless people who have just hundreds and hundreds of tickets. And
Yeah,
these
right.
cops are writing tickets for these people where they know
there's no way.
there's nothing they
pay
can
it
do, but they
back.
have to give them a ticket anyway.
That's
And so
just-
these people have these records with like huge amounts of tickets for vagrancy.
Yeah,
And
on
it's
that,
like,
it's as smart as the French government re-breaking their clock.
yes,
that they
exactly.
just had refurbished.
It's just kind of
It's,
dumb.
right.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that. We're breaking it back, even though it was fixed. That doesn't make any sense. But who
Yeah.
says that life makes sense?
Well, let me just wrap up by giving you guys a few quick headlines without going into the depths of it. New Jersey, capital city, is running out of toilet paper.
Uh-oh.
There's a teacher who quit school to be a rapper.
All right.
A girl ate nothing but McDonald's chicken nuggets for 15 years,
Wow.
but she lived. She's
She's-
living. She's still alive.
She's a chicken
Um,
nugget.
A woman gave birth on the New Jersey PATH train recently.
Woo.
And a 100-year-old man finished a marathon.
Wow.
Nice.
Good for him. That's a clap for that man. 100-year-old man.
And that woman who ate all those chicken McNuggets.
Yeah,
for
well,
I mean,
that
that's
is
kinda-
also
obese or-
impressive.
15 years.
That's pretty.
No, she looks pretty skinny in this
Yeah?
picture.
Yeah.
She actually looks
Probably stays in
attractive.
shape, you know.
She just
Probably
like
as
It
far
might be
as-
her beauty secret.
As far as
Yeah.
McDonald's
Yeah.
stuff goes, chicken nuggets are probably one of the. I don't know if I'm right about this, but I would think they'd be one of the more healthier things on
on the menu. Sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good
if
point,
You're, If
yeah.
you're at
If you're gonna
McDonald's
eat
and you're gonna
Only one item on the
Yeah,
McDonald's menu. She picked. I'd probably pick the salad. Well, no, the salad would be
Those
Those
not
salads
much
have so much,
nutrition in there.
crap in it. Like,
Yeah.
They,
Maybe the Caesar salad if they have that. Do they have
Maybe.
some Caesar salad?
yeah.
No.
The dressing is like 30 grams of fat. You know?
Go with the chicken nuggets.
All right. Well, we better wrap it up so the
All
next
right.
guys can come on.
All
It's
right.
Santiago and Chuck, I believe. And
All right.
I saw Santiago walking around. So he,
All right.
hopefully.
So
he's
stay tuned for
nearby.
Santiago and Chuck, and everyone have a great Memorial Day, and we'll be back in a week.
And that's the news
Goodbye,
with
everybody.
Jim and friends.
Adios.